and that was it. Like there was consequences to the actions. I had to understand that back then that there was consequences to your actions. So if you're going to do something, then you need to be responsible for the action that you do, right? So I let that slide, or I went through my elementary school years like pissed off about that. Like, and I never really got an explanation. Like, she never sat me down and told me why that happened. She just did
Mm-hmm.
it and just kind of left me with it. Like, and most people wouldn't understand, like, this happened for a reason. Let me figure out why that happened. Or they would take the easy way out and be like, they're the problem. That teacher took it from me. That was mine. Give it back.
What are you doing today that makes you better than the person you were yesterday? That is part of the Ascension brand. That is the motto, the heart of what we stand for. When I pass away, I want people to know. I want people to remember me, not for the time that I spent on this planet, but for the things that I have done to contribute to society. My mama raised a loser, but I broke the chains. I wasn't made
Ladies
to
and gentlemen,
be
welcome back to the Dead and Trunk podcast, where the elephant is always welcome. It's your boy Marcus Morton, here with me as always, the Aaron Mack, and we are back.
Back for another one.
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen.
I ain't know if we was gonna make
it. Hey, for real though, I was trying to figure out like what we were gonna do if we still ain't had power by Friday. I was like, yo, we record the podcast. Right. I don't know. We just might have to. I might have to just come to Lawrenceville and we could just like record a podcast in the car with the rain beating on the windshield. Is it still raining up there right now?
I don't even know. It might be like a little drizzle or something. It's real cloudy.
Has it been like weirdly pouring down cats and dogs, and then like you go outside, it's like dry for some reason. It's like it's strange.
Don't make no sense.
For anybody who don't know what we're talking about, we in the wonderful state of Virginia, where you see all 4 seasons in one day. And lately we've been getting ice storms where it's been taking us for a loop. You know, it's been like been like the weirdest best fight that I can ever have. Like last week, I took the longest time off from a vanilla job that I think I've taken in some years. We were off for 5 days straight, man. So me and Lee was just chilling. We just chilling, but the problem is that like with the power out and it being 22 degrees outside, it's kind of hard to be productive in the house when you're trying to heat the whole apartment up with a candlestick. Yeah. So we spent most of the time in the bed, and she got unlimited data on her phone, so we was just like we was still binge watching stuff even though.
Same. I had my phone, had my girl, she had her phone, had my Switch. That's all we could do, man. Power was out, it's cold. We was like, ain't moving.
I ain't touched the Switch because, you know, in order to charge anything, you got to go out into the cold to do it. You know, we had to prioritize. We had to charge the power banks up. It was either the power banks, the phone, or the Switch. We had 2 out of the 3. The Switch had to fall by the wayside. There ain't nothing really interesting on it right now anyway, so it was good. That's good.
I feel it.
How long did y'all power stay out though?
It was a good, I want to say.
Or when did it come back on?
Maybe it came back on the day we went back to work.
So what was that, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was out for a good middle minute, and it was the strangest thing because like everybody around us was getting power back. So it was like, I guess like certain lines were down and they just had to go out and find it. And then since our area is so rural, all these trees and whatnot, I think they've been slack. Well, it might the storm might have just caught them off guard. I ain't gonna say it was slacking, but it was a lot of branches hanging over. They were slacking.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Boss or false. Let's talk about it. So the state of Balsafos, the state of Virginia, got the only state left that got power lines above ground and let trees just grow all around them hoes.
Right. And I'm like, y'all see this? Y'all should have been had somebody come out here
and it be the main power lines that like, yo,
bruh,
it's crazy. They don't let nothing happen in them pylon corridors though.
Right.
They don't let nothing happen in those. You couldn't even pitch a 10 in one of those without getting arrested. But hey, they can come on 460 and they can prop a cable, a power line in a tree just to hold it up. Because they don't got a light, because they don't got an actual pole to hold it up. Yeah, I noticed it. But it's all good. Boss of us.
Crazy thing is, we got one like sitting right outside our house that's like going through a tree basically. And I seen one going to our dump, which is like right up the road. Once upon a time, that thing was held up by 2 long pieces of 2x4. And I was like, that don't look safe. I don't think that's not OSHA certified. I don't think that's not OSHA approved.
Can't be. No way. Absolutely not. Yeah. But yeah, we the only state that still got power lines above ground, man. Like and we got the most trees. Like if we was a state that ain't had no trees in it, like if we were like New York or something, it'll make sense. But
a whole different story.
You know, New York has their power lines underground. Like you don't see power lines going through Manhattan. That ain't how that work out there. But you know, out here in Virginia, you know, I mean, I guess it costs too much to convert it. I don't know, man. It's weird.
Would it?
It's weird, man, because like we got plenty of trees around here. We got more trees than we got power lines. So you know, I'm not saying that they should cut down the trees or nothing to accommodate for the power lines, but you know, at least we could do is upgrade the system a little bit so that anytime the wind blow, we don't have a flicker. It's like the strangest thing. And then tell me how this worked. Like our power went out, and our power was off for 3 days, 3 days, and everything on the road that we live on, like you come out the apartment complex, make a left or make a right. Everything to the left and the right got power except us, and we right next to the pylon corridor. Like, how does that work? It's a line coming right into the complex through trees nonetheless. But it's coming right to the complex straight from a pylon. So I'm like, how is it that the power is out? But you know, they do their own thing, man. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like that over here. Like you know, the school is right in front of us.
Yeah.
And the day before our power came back on, the school had power. So I'm just like,
right across the street.
How does this work?
Yeah, man. Like I never really understood how those grids work. I'm like, yo, how is this working? Like you got one section that got power, one section without power. Like we were going through downtown Petersburg, and there was like literally like the whole city, the whole like downtown area had power, but there was like 2 street lights that didn't, but everything else had power, and they had like stop signs up in front of the red lights. The red lights was just off, but the rest of the city had power. It was just like this one street that the red light was on, and it was weird because like it was a 4-way intersection, and like there was one section that was out. But if you were coming in the opposite direction, if you coming from the sides, those lights were on. But that whole street was out of power. And I'm like, how does that even work?
That sounds like some Amazon stuff. That sounds like
it's strange. And then like I remember growing up and my mom's house would have power and the house across the street wouldn't, and vice versa. Talk about disrespectful. You got to try to fumble with your keys in the dock, just hoping that your neighbor across the street got they front porch light on. Like,
oh man, but yeah, man. Through all of that, it was just like I don't even know. Like I ain't even know how to feel. I was just like, I guess we just try to make it through the day.
Yeah.
If we went out somewhere, you know, we were real careful and whatnot. Probably the only reason we went out was probably like get something to eat.
Bruh. I ain't never felt so crippled in my life, dog. Like,
Right.
like and it wasn't on the sense of being prepared for the storm, because like, so it is what it is on that note. Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to survive regardless. But we got food that we can eat that don't necessarily need to be heated up. But it was the moment where we realized that we didn't that we needed to heat most of our food up. Like, you can't necessarily eat
Yeah.
macaroni when the lights off. You can't necessarily cook oodles and noodles with the lights off. But we spent a lot of money on food, fam. A lot of money on food, man. And I was like, yo, we got beat. We
Yeah.
got beat, dog. Like, we spent I probably spent like $100 on fast food, fam. Like, it's not it's not even a joke, man. Probably spent about $100 on fast food, man. I looked at at my account and saw like the pending transactions on it, man, and it was a
Oh,
bit sad.
long list.
It was
Yeah.
sad, bro. It was sad. Like, and I'm thinking about it, like, yo, if the power went out again, like, we'd like save money on electricity for like 2 days just to rack it up on fast food. Like, yo,
Yeah.
that's not an even trade off, man. And
Exactly.
it brought me back to to something that I heard excuse me, something that I heard Grant Cardone say in his book, the 10X Rule, or was it the 10X Rule? I can't think of which book it was. But Grant Cardone said that you should never place the responsibility of anybody of anything that happens to you or anybody else. Like, everything that you go through is your fault. You should take responsibility for it, because if you don't take responsibility for it, then you're giving somebody else the power to fix the situation that you're in. And that brought me to the a situation where, like, being in an apartment complex and the power being out. Like, what I usually do in this apartment complex, because our AC condenser is right inside the apartment, when we turn that joint on, that's the only thing we hear. And it kind of
Right.
drowns out everything in the parking lot. And being that our walls are thin with no insulation, we hear everything. So with the power being out, you can hear conversations happening in the front of the
Oh.
apartment complex if somebody was talking loud enough, for real, like real talk. Like, people were playing loud music outside, and like they wouldn't even had like the music turned all the way up in their cars, and you can hear like the full song. Like, yo, like you can hear everything. So there's a dude sitting outside the apartment one of those days, man, and like, he was just going off. He was like complaining about the power being out. He was like, man, it don't make no fucking sense, bro. My people live out in the fucking country. They got power. Why the fuck they got power and we ain't got no goddamn power? And I'm like, he putting a lot of energy into that. He putting a lot of energy into that. And it brought me back to what Grant said. He said, yo, if the energy if I'm living in the house and I don't buy a generator and the power go out, I can't blame the electric company.
Right.
I wasn't prepared. I can't blame anybody else for my lack of preparation to the situation. So first thing I did wrong. I go ahead and talk about it. First thing I did wrong. I lived in an apartment complex. If I got a generator out here, somebody probably gonna steal that joint in the first 5 minutes. But yeah, like, first thing I did wrong was I'm in an apartment complex. Second thing I did wrong, I ain't have a generator. Third thing I did wrong, I ain't had no food in my refrigerator, so I got beat. I got beat. It's a lesson learned, and most of the people in this apartment complex, sad to say, they won't learn that lesson.
Yep. Yeah. It's insane how people push their problems like to the next guy. Whether it be their kids, their loved ones, their spouse, friends, and they never take that time to look themselves in the mirror and be like, everything that happens to me is like you said, it's my fault.
Right.
Like, you control your life, nobody else. And a lot of people believe it's the other way around. A lot of people will go around here and just whatever happens to them happens to them. They they just float without a paddle. They don't even, row the boat. They just sit there and just, wait till they get to like a destination or something. And it's so simple to take control of your life. Yeah. I read something where it's like, well, I won't even read. It was in the music video I sent. It was like, I think it's either 90% or 98% of life is just showing up. So you showing up, you've already basically won the battle. All you gotta do is put in any effort, all the effort you can put in to get in where you need to go, or trying to accomplish whatever you need to do, and you're there. You got it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I didn't even know we were going here with this podcast, but I mean, we could take it there. We talk about like people blaming their kids and stuff. Like, man, bruh, I don't get it, man. I don't understand that. Like, how you,
Facts.
Bruh, 30 Trump. How you blame a child like for your lack of inconsistency, your lack of preparation. And we talk about on this podcast a lot because that's the name of the brand, the star player mentality. We talk about the star player mentality. How do you exhibit a star player mentality if you chose to have kids, but you blame your children for not being able to have something in your life? Like, yo, I can't tell you how many people I've met that have been scarred because a parent told them that they couldn't do something because they had them. Like, I gotta feel guilty about my life that, first of all, I was forced to live because once you're born, like I ain't had no say in being born. I had no say at all. I couldn't just be like, oh, nope, let me not initial this box here. Like, no, I didn't get that option. You just, I just came out.
The terms and agreements.
I came out and you were just like, yo, this is your life now and you got to live this. You didn't give me that option. You chose to have a child and then you chose to say that because of that child was the reason why you can succeed in your life. And I hear and I ain't gonna say like it's mostly women, but I'd have heard men do it too. They blame their kids for the child support. Like, are you blaming your kid for the child support? You ain't do what you was supposed to do as a man to make that mama to make that baby mama proud or happy or whatever the case is, or so have you. So you blame the kids for the child support. Like, you can't blame the kids for the child support because they were not responsible for their own life. So I don't understand that. Like, yo, you like, for real, if you're listening to this right now, right, and you have kids, your kids can either be the excuse to why you can't do something, or the reason why you are doing something.
Right.
So we cut back all the excuses all you want. You can call it what you want, but at the end of the day, if you ain't doing it, it ain't your kid's fault. It's yours. Because you had the power to do whatever it is that you want to do in your life. We all do. Though we forced to live the lives that we are given, once we hear, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Facts. And some people just they take all the power that they have and they just use it to complain. They go to they 9 to 5, they nail a job, and all they do is complain.
Yeah.
Instead of doing what it takes to get out that situation, they dig deeper into the hole that they basically gonna die in.
Yep. That kind of reminded me of my man. I ain't gonna say his name, but you'll know who I'm talking about. The milk dud with the headband. They used to work with us. Used to complain. Look, kind of older dude. Older dude. Kind of hefty, stocky dude. Yeah. You know who I'm talking about now?
Yeah.
Yeah, my man used to complain about everything under the sun. I mean,
and all you had to do was
everything. I
do the
remember
work.
the one time I asked him about something. It was some process related, and my man started going into all these personal complaints and all this stuff, and I'm like, bruh, all that has something to do with you. It ain't
Right.
got nothing to do with them. Like, they sent me on a mission to figure out, like, the job. Just to add context to clarity, the job sent me on a mission to figure out what barriers were keeping associates from actually completing the job. Now, if you in the rut, I get it. If you in the rut in the day-to-day of the job and you got to do the job or whatever, and you got a whole bunch of stuff going on, it's kind of hard to differentiate those things from your personal agenda. But when they ask the people to come and be a part of these meetings, it's not like they're just asking anybody to do it. The managers are asking their associates who they know have the wherewithal to understand on a higher level than most associates. So they chose me to do this thing once, and oh my God, I hated it. Because at that point, you're responsible for going around and asking your peers what's going on, what's wrong, and all these other things, and figure out what all these issues are so you can report it back to the man at the top, right? So I come up and I ask this dude, are there any barriers that you are seeing that is preventing you from doing this? And like, yeah, man, they keep moving me around. They keep doing this and they keep doing that. I'm like, but okay, I get that. But is there anything keeping you from doing the job? No, man, they keep doing this and they keep doing that. And I'm like, but
Like, that's not what I asked, bro.
I didn't ask you anything about that, bro. That's a personal problem. You were trained to do that. Like, what is the problem?
Yeah.
You were trained to do it. Like, you got the skill and they going to use you for the skill. So like, is there any issues? I'm like, look, man, for real, like that ain't got nothing to do with the price of tea in China. All I'm just trying to figure out is like if the job is impossible to do. Like, I don't care about your personal problems, dog. Like, that ain't got nothing to do with what they're asking you. And what most people don't understand is that, like, wait, hold up. Let me back up for a second. What most people don't understand, right, is that the thing that you think is a problem is not the thing that the world believes is a problem. So you out here trying to move off of, you trying to make a issue out of everything that you think is a problem. Especially like if it comes to like how people work on themselves, right? You thinking like how many times have you seen a character on TV, right? And I'm gonna give an example because I seen this recently watching Legacies. I don't know if anybody ever seen Legacies as part of the Vampire Diary series. I'm a huge fan of L.J. Smith. That's the reason why I very much frequent that show. But I was watching Legacies, right? And it was two characters, and one character was having a problem with what the other character was doing. But this character, she's full of herself, and she omniscient about everything that's going on. She fixed what she think is the problem. And the other person is like, yo, like that ain't got nothing to do with what I just asked you. Like, they ain't got nothing to do with why I'm pissed off with you. Like, you just went on and just did what you thought was the issue. Like, and most people, they get so wrapped up in themselves that like they don't even understand that when it comes to fixing the things around you, if you fix what's internal first, then you can fix what those things are around you. And what I mean by that, and like how I can wrap it back around to people placing the blame on things, is like you can't continue placing the blame on everybody else for how you screwed up. Because if you screwed up, then you can't fix it anyway.
Yep, that's just like last week's episode. Guy at what? Huddle House, Waffle House.
Waffle House.
Waffle House.
Yep. They be all right.
How you gonna get upset over like you said, your mistakes?
Yeah.
Yours. They're your mistakes.
Yours. You made them.
And you can't get over them until you acknowledge that and you fix that.
Yeah, I got a better example, right? God, I'm so glad that the people that we know don't really listen to these podcasts, but I got a better example, right? And I'm gonna use this as I'm gonna use this, and you and Marcus, you're gonna know exactly who I'm talking about when I say this. But we know a character who he just does anything and everything that he feels is okay to do, and when somebody calls him out on it, he first of all, is a problem because he wants to try to understand. He doesn't get why people don't want to be in his presence or why people don't want to be around him. And I'm not saying this to be funny, y'all. Like I'm really trying to pass a message here, because you gotta. I want you to understand this thing of taking responsibility of your own actions and the things that you do. We know a guy who he's always complaining about why he doesn't have friends, why people don't want to be around him, why people don't want to hang out. And he's a good kid. Like, ain't not like the dude, he's kind of weird, but in the sense of like, if you don't get what he's trying to say, then it'll make you uncomfortable. And he does this thing where like, and it's just him. That's just who he is. But he gets upset because and he takes it personal when people don't want to be in his presence. But if you told him why people don't want to be in his presence, he get pissed off at you like you're the problem. Yeah. So, me personally, I'm gonna drop back on myself right quick, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm just like trying to throw hands on people, but you know, I'm a very omniscient person. I'm very omniscient, very critical, very judgmental. I'm a Virgo. I got that in me. I had an issue with Alyssa this morning because of that. Like that's just who I am. I understand that that's who I am, and I understand that that's what I need to work on. And it's not something that is brand new to me. And I understand that if I piss somebody off because of that, then I gotta eat that. I can't blame them for that. I gotta eat it. Like if I create the problem, then by all means you got to accept the problem. I can't allow somebody to come back and tell me what my problem is, and I get pissed off at them and say that they're the problem, because what does that do? You'll never fix the problem. You'll never fix the problem if you keep blaming your problems on everybody else. So if I got an issue with you as a person, like for real, like, and I see people do this all the time. If I got an issue with you as a person because of who you are and what you have done, then I shouldn't. Why do I got to be the bad guy because I told you about yourself? I'm just asking. Why I gotta be dragged through the mud because I told you that you know that your people skills suck. Your bedside manner is trash. Like, yo, like I wouldn't call on you for advice if you were the last person in a lineup of idiots to ask you for advice. Like, I wouldn't even do it to myself. I got to get dragged through the mud for that. Like, how does that make sense?
I think a lot of that plays into people's egos. People get swept up in their egos and basically think that they should, you know, rainbows and, you know, pine scent or whatever. And it's crazy how people like that, their self-reflection is just absent. It's like not even there at all.
You went through the fun house and all the mirrors broke.
Right. It's like, and they can't see themselves, which is kind of weird to say, because I'm Aquarius. I'm a little laid back. If there's an issue with somebody, you know, I cover all the bases. Right. I was like, all right, what did I do wrong? What did they do wrong? How did my actions, you know, affect them? Or what if I did, you know, something differently? You know, I go around all the bases. What could they have done differently? Like, what would have happened if I wouldn't have handled it at all or anything? So, you know, it's just like, how does someone live and just like that doesn't come to mind.
That-
Like those things don't come to their mind.
That reminded me of a few months ago when we had that situation back in, what was it, November, and we had a group therapy session conversation.
Yeah, I like that.
And a lot of y'all not like Marcus when he said that he really do try to like play all sides. Like Marcus was apologizing for the situation. I'm like, nah, that's all me, man. I fucked that up. Like that was me. Yeah, but you and Alyssa kind of had that in common too, man. Because y'all like she does it all the time, where like somebody else can be dead wrong. I mean, they can be dead wrong, and she'd be like, "But I can see both sides of the story." I'm like, "Of course you can see both sides. Like, of course everybody got their side. Of course you do. Everybody has their side. I can see their side too. I just know that I don't want nothing to do with it. I'm just saying."
True. And it's just some people, they just get stuck in their side, and it's just their side.
Yeah.
They can't feel anything else. They can't understand why other people would do something that goes against their
lack of empathy. Lack of empathy. We talked about it before. You're in your truth. You in your truth. Your truth ain't necessarily somebody else's truth. That's why personal development is important, because your truth is your truth, but your truth might be a lie to the rest of the world. Your truth to you is an opinion to everybody else. So it doesn't really matter what you say your truth is, because your truth is inwardly expressing, not outwardly expressing. Because your truth on an outward expression is an opinion. So you gotta figure out where the gap is and how to fill it. Because if I'm doing something and I think that I'm doing good, but I'm really doing harm to the rest of the world around me, and if somebody tell me that I'm doing that and I ignore it, then I'm a villain. I ain't doing no good for nobody. I'm doing bad for the world. And if you call me a villain, then I got to accept that, because I know what I'm doing now.
This is true. This it's funny about your truth, because people can be conditioned into believing something which is a lie, but to them it's their truth.
Yep.
Just as simple as, the holidays, Santa Claus.
Wow.
My younger brother, when he was in elementary school, he got in trouble because he told a young girl that Santa Claus is not real.
Oh.
And when he came home, we had to explain to him that you can't do that. But I'm sitting in the back listening to my parents explain. I'm like, but he's not wrong though. Like we can't discipline him on this, because technically he's not wrong.
Yo,
no one told him not to do that. So
I'm weak, bro. I'm weak, dog. Like, hey, yo, I hear so many different crazy stories about the reveal. Like, how old were you when you realized that Santa Claus wasn't real, bro? Like, for real. I felt like I was the youngest of all my cousins, right? And and we I got a cousin that's she worked with us at the joint. So she's not that much younger than I. I think she's 28 now. I want to say she's 28 right now. And bro, when we were teenagers, we was all sitting in the room. Me, my older cousins, a few cousins that were younger than her at the time. And we were all talking about the time that we realized that Santa Claus wasn't real, and and she came in the room mid conversation. Now, mind you, like I said, there were kids in the room that were younger than her that were a part of the conversation.
Oh no!
So the older cousins are like me, and all of the cousins that's older than her. We were having the conversation, and when she came out her mouth, she was like, "Wait. Santa Claus isn't real?" Now the older cousins, me and all the rest of them, the older cousins, we were looking at her like, "Oh shit!" And the younger cousin was looking up at her like, "What the fuck you mean? You thought Santa Claus was real? What the fuck is wrong with you?" It was crazy, man. That ain't got nothing to do with the conversation. I just thought it was a funny story.
No. It's your truth. She thought that was truth, and it goes back to what I was trying to say. How parents, loved ones, they'll they have effect on your truth. Whatever they tell you, if you don't seek, the truth out for yourself, that's all you believe.
Yeah.
Just like if you don't stand for anything, you fall for anything.
Yeah.
And some parents are in the wrong because they'll twist the truth and have a kid all messed up for when they get out there. And instead of teaching them the actual truth, the raw truth, and letting them handle it on their own, speaks volumes, because it lets the kid grow. It lets the kid understand that, hey, all right, there's some things out here that's truthful, but it hurts, and that's okay. That's normal,
right?
Instead of sugarcoating everything, and having your kid think the world is nothing but sunshine and rainbows and stuff. It's gonna hurt when they fall, because the rug is gonna get swept right up under them, and they're gonna hit the ground. They're gonna hit the ground hard, and some people have a hard time getting back up from that, and
and some people never get back up from it because they don't know how to take responsibility for their own actions.
Right.
So just off of what Marcus just said, I got a story, right? So I got a family member who, when her daughter was growing up, she was hidden from the world, sheltered, absolutely sheltered. And what I mean by that, what do I mean by that? She didn't see the news. She didn't watch anything live action on TV. She was only able to watch cartoons and read books with colors, like a lot of colors. She wasn't exposed to live action TV. She didn't even know that live action TV was a thing until she was about 11 years old. And when she was 13, she seen the news for the first time. And immediately, like within 30 seconds of watching the news at the age of 13 for the first time, she screamed and cried as if she broke a bone. Like it was that bad. She had a nervous breakdown because she saw the news for the first time and seeing how negative it was for the very first time in her life. Now, what things happen here, right? First of all, you have a mother that was overprotective, that allowed her child to stay hidden from what, like Marcus just said, the reality of what the world is. She kept her child hidden from that. And I understand the sentiment of wanting to keep your child safe. However, you want to raise your child to be completely dependent on your cover for the rest of their life? That's the question that you got to ask yourself. If I'm doing this, if I'm doing that, how would my child bear if I wasn't here? How am I teaching this person to move through the world on their own, right? So I get you trying to cover the child and protect them, but at the same time, the world is a fucked up place.
That is.
Let's go ahead and put that out there. Like I'm not even about to sugarcoat it. The world is a screwed up place. So if you never show them how messed up the world can be, how do you show them how to protect themselves from it? That's a double negative. If I never show you how to fight this,
how do you learn?
How do you learn? And when do you learn? Not only that, when do you learn? Because I want to say that at the age of 23 years old is a very bad time to be trying to learn how to be street smart. It's a very bad time. You hear people all the time like, yo, like there's been people who've been selling drugs their entire life, and they're good. They know the game. They know the ins and out of the system. They know how to stay away from the police. They know who to talk to. They know how to talk to them. And then you have people who like, okay, I want to make a quick buck right quick. Let me go get me a pack. Let me flip that. And then all of a sudden they get busted within like 2 days. You see it happen all the time. I think at some point, and it's not even about being smart when it comes to selling drugs. I ain't even talking about that.
That ain't the message.
There's a period of preparation.
Yeah.
And if you wait until the age of 17 to start preparing to be 17 years old, you've already screwed up. You're already behind. You missed out on 16 years before then.
And preparation, that I ain't gonna say that's a issue, but it's something that that gets swept under the rug. A lot of people don't do. A lot of people just go out here and whatever I'm feeling, that's it. That's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna do. And just like the person you were talking about that we work with, I feel like that's how he feels. Whatever he's feeling in that moment, he doesn't hold back. He doesn't kind of think about it. He just does. He's one of those go-getters, as you say. They just whatever is in front of them, they're like a dog. They attack it. And that it's an okay trait to have in life, but like without preparation, like where would you be? Like to get a job, you prepare for it. You take well, if you don't have a job, you don't really have a schedule, but you make time to go to the interview. You get dressed up, you get presentable, you play the part or whatever. You do the questionnaire, which is mostly lies anyway.
Absolutely. If you told them what was on your mind, you ain't getting that job.
So I'm mad at Amazon because it was one time I didn't feel like doing it, so I was like completely honest, and apparently I failed it. And I was like, but I was honest though.
Like, would you report Lil Timmy because he stole a Jolly Rancher? Absolutely not. You fired too. You fired too. Aiding and abetting. Aiding and abetting. I remember one time I had a job interview, right? And my whole life was riding on this job interview, right? Because I was living in Fredericksburg at the time, and I was trying to get a job that was closer to where I lived at, because I got tired of driving a whole hour to get to work. Right. And I'm at this, now that I think about it, I'm so glad that I didn't get that job, because I wouldn't be where I am now. Okay. But I went to this interview, and the dude asked me, he was like, "Have you ever complained about your job or your boss?" And I was like, "Yeah, once or twice, maybe." I was like, I can't necessarily recall the time, but yeah, I mean, who doesn't?
Right.
And went through this interview, and I mean, like, me and this dude, we were chopping it up, man. I mean, like, both of us, and what was worse about it, like, I used my networking skills and everything, because my man was a Baltimore fan, and I'm like, yo, we were talking about the Super Bowl and all that stuff, and how the playoffs was coming up, man. And like, he was showing me all around the plant or whatnot. Like, it was like, this was a Value City furniture warehouse. And he was like showing me around and everything, showing me all of the ropes and stuff. And then like, after like an hour and a half of being there, after he asked me that question, like at the first 10 minutes of the interview, and he was like, just pulled me to the side after he was about to let me go. He was like, yeah, and just as a heads up for the future, never tell employer that you complained about a job. I ain't get that call back, Marcus. I ain't get that call back, bro. Hey, but look, I didn't blame him for the advice that he gave me, and I took it into consideration. I ain't never tell nobody that I did that before, that I did that again. So yeah.
But that's crazy, because all right, so it's because that sets up what we're saying. The world wants you to lie. The world wants you to be this android, humanoid, do the work, go home, come back, do the work, and repeat.
Worker ex machina.
Right. And because the same thing happened to me when I was trying to get this job at AT&T. Went in, interview was like, hey, why would you want to work here anyway? And I was like,
for the need money.
Well, yeah, that too. I ain't say that, but I was like, I like electronics. I'm into phones. Whatever, this, that, and third. And he was like, I think he had my resume up or something. I looked over the resume, I guess before then. He was like, it seems you come from a lot of like basically warehouse, not really retail, not cashier type jobs or whatever. Basically, it's like. Yeah. I basically had to, I didn't have the salesman type, authority or whatnot.
No. What he was saying is that he didn't think that you were, because people had this perception of warehouse jobs as if you got to be pretty much brainless to do them, which in a sense is true. Because of not the quality of the person who has the job, but the type of people, the type of individuals who are usually in that environment. They're brainless. They don't need to think to do those jobs. So when you go out, and here's another thing, preparation, right? We talk about preparation. For anybody who is a warehouse worker, y'all heard Marcus just say, you're gonna have that problem. You're gonna have that problem. I had that problem. I've gone through that. And it was one of the things that that I used to my advantage when I started at the job that we work at. Not because I thought that was going to push me ahead, but because I knew that it was a weakness, and I knew that even the people that we work for, even though they not going. The people, let's be real. You get an interview at work tomorrow, Marcus. They not about to be like, you it don't look like you have any cashier experience. So that's all warehouse experience. So I don't know if we can. No, they're not going to ask you that because you work in the place with them, right? But at the same time, it is a really big factor of, okay, you know how to do that. We know that you know how to do that, but what else do you know how to do? So how do you prepare yourself for it? And then on top of that, when somebody tells you that you need to prepare yourself for it, how do you prepare yourself for it? And what do you do to prove that you can do it? Because it doesn't make much of a difference if you know how to do it or if you can do it. It's what you can prove that you can do, right? So if somebody tells you that they don't believe that you have the chops to do it, then what are you going to do to show them? For all the people who were already doing the job, like Marcus said about interviews, right? You think about this. All the people who are with the vest and computer skills, like Coco said, who didn't get the job. What did they do wrong? They didn't prepare. They didn't prepare for it. And then when they were told that they were not prepared for it, they looked at it as a personal attack because why? They were already doing the job in the first place. They felt entitled. But once again, we go back to your truth. It's not everybody else's truth. Yeah, me as a manager, I understand that you know how to do the job, but can you excel at doing that job? Are you doing this job because this is what you feel like you had to do? Are you doing this job because you're trying to get some kind of recognition? Because you got the recognition, so you good on that. We don't need to give you a promotion if all you were just doing is looking for recognition. I don't need to promote you if all you were doing is if you were doing it for recognition. You've already proved that, we can give you recognition and you can keep going off of that alone. But is that all that you really want? And if I tell you that this is what you need to work on in order to succeed, what are you going to do with that information when you're done with it? That's the question that the managers are going to have. You can stand behind the computer and help us run this system, but can you teach somebody else how to do it? Are you capable enough of being a team player to help other people understand that this is what they need to look for? Are you capable of understanding that if I put you in a leadership role, that you can be a leader and not a follower? Like these are things that that people are trying to get you to understand, and that brings me back to my time where I was if y'all remember back in elementary school, they had the safety patrol. I don't know if you had it in your school. SpongeBob kind no. Like SpongeBob kind of had it. Yeah, the hall monitor, the hall monitor. Like we had those. We had those in our school, right? And I remember like being the safety patrol was was like a really big thing, right? Like you were like the person that stood outside and like in the hallways, and you were like staying at the intersections, and you were like kind of like direct traffic of human beings, human trafficking. It's just cool. We started learning that in elementary school. It's fine. So I remember being like a part of that. Like I really, really strived to be a part of that, man. Like really did. Because like, and I don't even know why at this point I wanted so bad to be a part of the safety patrol, but like I really wanted that, right? And when I finally got it, and I had it for all of one day. All of one day. That's it. And the reason that it was taken from me is because as the safety patrol, I had an influence in my ear that was sitting next to me who he was supposed to be a friend, but he didn't like that I got the safety patrol position. So he kind of manipulated the situation and got it taken from me. So I didn't understand that then. And what I thought I understood then was that this teacher, she just didn't want me to have it. I never got an explanation. I never got a reason for it. The only thing that I knew was that this teacher came, she walked up to me in the hallway, and she snatched it right up off me. And that's it.
Oh, wow.
And I never got an explanation or anything. But what I had to realize was that the teacher wasn't just trying to be mean. She didn't take it from me because I did something and that was it. Like there was consequences to the actions. I had to understand that back then, that there was consequences to your actions. So if you're going to do something, then you need to be responsible for the action that you do, right? So I let that slide, or I went through my elementary school years like pissed off about that. Like, and I never really got an explanation. Like she never sat me down and told me why that happened. She just did it and just kind of left me with it. Like, and most people wouldn't understand, like, this happened for a reason. Let me figure out why that happened. Or they would take the easy way out and be like, they're the problem. That teacher took it from me. That was mine. Give it back. But then when she don't give it back, then what? Because she never gave it back. She confiscated that joint and she never gave it back. They never even filled the slot. Like they just left it. That part of the hall was empty for the rest of the year. So
oh wow.
Yeah. So what is that saying? Like something happened and I had to understand that my truth didn't matter at that point. It didn't matter. I had to take responsibility for what happened. And when I couldn't take responsibility for what happened, she didn't give it back. Because I did go talk to her, and she was tight-lipped about it. She was tight-lipped about it. She was an older lady. She ain't play no games. Like she was the type of woman. Like I swear, if she could still beat kids, when we were still in fourth grade, bro, she would have. Like she was one of them types, man. Been teaching for years. Like yeah. So she taught me a valuable lesson. I ain't learned it until a few years later, but had I gone through that time period and never understood why she did that, bro, like I don't even know where I would be right now.
Come on.
Yeah, man.
That's interesting. And it's good to know. It's a good skill to have to learn from the lessons you're given. Because we know plenty of people that they'll go through that same situation, and like you said, they'll blame anybody but themselves.
Yeah.
And the process would repeat, and you would think that after been repeated so many times, you would look somewhere else. You would place the blame somewhere else. Someone would click and be like, hey, you're doing the same equation. The same equation is being played out, and you get the same results.
Right.
And nothing's changing.
Right.
And they'll go through job through another job, and the same thing will happen in each one of them. You get in trouble, you blame the manager, and it's just like when you gonna start blaming yourself? When you gonna start actually
when you gonna start listening like
yeah, just listen. Like half the time all you gotta do is like, all right, They want me to do better. They want me putting a little bit more work. Putting the work and then, go home.
And bro, like how many times does somebody got to tell you? How many times does different people have to tell you that that this is wrong and you still accept it as if it's true? Like
they do it all the time,
bro. Like I can't. Like I had a friend that I graduated high school with. That I had to cut her off completely.
Come on.
Like she was the type of person who would do just that. Like she would live her life the way she wanted to, and then complain about how everybody else treated her. And like when I ain't gonna say I hung out with her, but we was close enough for me to like kind of know her personal story, and for me to just kind of like have like some kind of a guiding hand to her, like, yo, like you might want to like change your way of thinking, like, because it ain't about what happens to you, it's about what you do when it happens, right? And then, life is what is it is 90% or 10% of what happens to you is 90% how you react to it. I think that's it. Or I might have those mixed up. I don't really remember that, but it's some of that of those lines. It's not about what happens to you; it's about how you respond. Is what I'm trying to say. But I noticed that when things happened to her, she responded in a very negative way, and I'm like, I tried to tell her like, yo, you might want to switch up this right quick. Like you're going this way. Your right brain is going forward counterclockwise, and your left brain is going counterclockwise, and they kind of canceling each other out. I think you might need to work on that, get some therapy or something. I don't know what you need to do, but you got some issues that you got to handle. Like I'm looking at her and I'm like, just like I'm getting this just based off of how she's talking about these problems and how she's responding to these problems, and not even the things that's happening to her. Like, yo, I'm like, and I told her one day, like, yo, it's kind of bad that depending on what time of the month it is, I can pretty much predict what kind of problem you having. And she looked at me and was like, and she like started cussing me out, and I'm like, you're not gonna ask how? Like that was your first response was just to cuss me out. You're not gonna ask how? Like, I can tell that this is going to happen to you because that is how you operate. That is literally how you operate. And if you choose to continue operating this way, then you're going to continue to operate this way. And this is the type of person who get fired from jobs she wouldn't work there long. I worked with her at Sears once, and she worked at Sears for about 2 months before she got fired for being lazy. The same person, she started working at Amazon shortly after I got my promotion. She got fired for not being productive enough, and like and it was the same thing. She came and talked to me and was like, "They crazy up in here." What do you mean? They wrote me up for this, that, and the other. I'm like, but did you do it though? They wrote me up though, like, but you did it though, like. And like I had a computer, right? And here's how deep it get, right? Because as she was talking to me about this, I pulled up her record, right? And we got the ability to see how productive people are being, right? And me as a supervisor, I have the ability to do so. And I pulled her up and I'm looking at it and I'm like, so right now you've been inactive for 93 minutes. How do you think your supervisor is going to feel about you being inactive for 93 minutes? And not only do I ask how do you think they're going to feel about it, but I'm more curious about how you're going to react to it, because I can tell you just like I told you 10 years ago that probably ain't the way that you should be going about it. You about to get fired and you still blaming everybody else for your problems. Like I think at this point you might want to fix that. And like this person, she has a kid now. So I'm like,
yeah,
if you can't do this for your child, then I don't really know what to tell you. Because you weren't doing it for you at first. Now you ain't doing it for your child. Like that should have been like the ultimate motivation, and you still ain't even motivated to do it for her. So I don't know what to tell you. And after 10 years, if you still ain't got your shit together, if you still getting played by dudes, still getting beat by dudes, still getting going through all of these different situations, getting fired from jobs every 20 minutes, like I don't really know what to tell you. So for anybody who's listening to this, right? How long we been going for, Mark? Oh, we have 59 minutes. Damn.
Oh, it's not.
Okay. Oh, what you say? You about to say something?
With the kids thing, when you have kids, you if you're not already, prepared for that, you need to change drastically, because especially in like a rural area like this, you see it all the time. You have females that have kids and they act just the same as they would in like high school or like elementary, and it's just it's like you got a whole kid now. You can't act like that, because that's gonna get projected onto them. You can't go out here and run out the mouth kind of crazy. If there's injustice, then all right, speak up about it. But like if you just all right, Mary Lou said your face ain't right, you got an ugly face, or called you out your name or whatever, you can't just blow up right there in that spot like that when you have a kid. Like you gotta be respectful. You gotta change it up.
Like my neighbor wanted to have an argument, a full blown argument about where she put her barking dog in her apartment, and wanted to make sure that her kids was right there to hear it.
Oh really?
Yeah, her kids were sitting outside with her. She could have easily sent her kids upstairs, but she wanted to have that argument in front of her kids. And I thought that was really, really interesting, right?
When I was there?
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Man.
Her kids was right out there. She hadn't even opened the door. She wanted them to be there so she could. I was like, come on. And like you hear people like, oh God, you hear other people, other women sometimes they'll tell you that they are proud of who they got into a fight with, and they got kids. Like
right.
I met a woman one time who was bragging about how she rolled up on the bitch house, quote unquote, rolled up on the bitch, hopped out on the bitch, and her baby was in the back seat.
No, that's not okay.
And then she was and then she got pissed off at the other bitch because the other bitch was taking her to court. It gets worse. That story gets worse.
Exactly.
The other bitch was pissed off because she was in her man's inbox and they married.
Tragic. That's just. There's so much wrong there.
So much, and she still never took responsibility for that. And I think her kid got taken away too.
That's the thing. Like I'm not gonna say it's easy for them to get taken away, but when you're doing all of that,
it's pretty easy.
It's
pretty easy because people who accidentally do things get their kids taken away.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there's an article of a dude robbing a car, and then coming back and calling the cops on the owner because the baby was in the back seat.
Huh? Wait, was the owner in the car?
No, the owner was not in the car. The person took the car while the owner was, about their business. He came back, called the cops on the owner because the baby was in the back seat.
Wait, did he take the car because the baby was in the back seat though?
No, he didn't know until he got up the road, looked back. Oh, there's a baby. Turn back around. You should be ashamed of your stuff. I tried to steal your car and you just leave your baby out here. What is wrong with you? I was like, hold on. How did you really do that? You explain that to the cops. This is a real article. I can't make this up.
That ain't Florida, man, is it?
It probably is. Oh,
Oh, goddamn, man. Oh, what in the hell, dog? Like,
I was like, I mean, at least he
oh
has
God.
morals. At least he's a thief of morals. That's something to be proud about, I guess. I don't know.
Oh man, that's crazy, dog. That's crazy. All right, so we're gonna end it here, man. I'm gonna go ahead and say this, like we're gonna close it out with like, yo, for real. All jokes aside, man. You gotta take responsibility.
Mm.
If
Yeah.
if something happens to me, it does me no good to continue complaining about the things that happen to me. It makes no difference what happened to me, how it happened, and how fast that happened. The only thing that matters is how fast I got back up. Now, the difference is that you can take as long as you want to recover from whatever happened to you. But if you recover in 5 minutes or you recover in 5 hours or 5 years, you still had to do it. So the quicker that you do it, the better. The more you try to sweep things under the rug, I promise you, that rug just gonna trip you up eventually. There's only but so much space you can sweep under a rug, man. There's only but so much dirt that you can sweep up under there before that thing starts to trip you up and becomes a fire hazard. Like,
right.
So, if you going through it, man, and you're the type of person who likes to blame everybody else for the things that happen to you, I want you to first of all ask why you're like that. And I want you to be very objective about how you ask yourself that, because the last thing you want to do is start blaming yourself for how you are, and then you still never do anything about it. Because that's also a possibility too. Because at that point, you took the narcissism away, and now you just become a self-harm geek, or you just become very obsessed with self-harm. So, want you to understand that there are resources, there are things that you can do to keep from doing that. Make sure that you are learning everything that you possibly can, because once again, your truth is only your truth, and it's opinion when it shows up to everybody else, unless it's their truth too. But then at that point, you got to take a chance to finally figure out if that's that person's truth or not. But then it might be too late. So once again, you're just a planet. You're just a planet. I'm going to say that again. You're just a planet. Don't be afraid to self-assess. Don't be afraid to do the work. Fix your shit. And don't blame anybody else because it stinks. You took this shit, so clean it up.
Yes. Get you some pine salt.
Get you some bleach.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Dirty Trunk Podcast. It is me, your boy, Marcus Morton. Always here with me is the Aaron Mack. Signing out, y'all.
All right, peace. See y'all. Love y'all next week.